Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper, where we are in a little bit of a grim position here. Like a lot of bit of a grim position, frankly, because this is gonna be a problem. What's his face? Ethan's tab is gonna be a problem. We only have 47 cryo and we do have to eat still today. And we've gotta resolve this problem and we gotta resolve it soon. And the 1 is going to be useful, but the 2 isn't, right? Yeah, we can do yet again agent stuff to try to get ourselves the resources necessary to buy a vial of stabilizer. All right, where do we have engineering actions left? One thing I'm thinking for sure is if we wait, the level up thing disappeared. Hold on, if I zoom into something and zoom back out. Okay, yeah, weird. If we just get any scrap component, like doing any engineering job has a chance of yielding us a scrap component. And we don't have anything that we can do for free, but what we do have is a 2+1, which is not like the worst thing. So what can we do? If we went here and assisted a shipbuilder, 75% chance we don't get a negative, and we could get a piece of scrap and then spend our 2 upgrade points and heal up. If that doesn't work, where else? We don't have an engineering action here. Where else do we have engineering actions available right now? Just making sure I'm not missing anything, because I think I'm about to do something that's like pretty not ideal. Obviously there's no engineering actions at the tea house. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have any Havenage data to give anymore, so that's not a way out. The actions that are available here are not engineering related and not relevant to our stuff, certainly. Probably, finishing Spoke Climber is probably not going to give us any of the things we need. We don't have a spare ship mind to sell, nor mushrooms, and we can't make the trip across the Founder's Gap yet, although soon. If we can just stabilize here, I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. We just really need that stabilize. So, okay, here's my plan. We're going to go try to work. If it goes badly, if it doesn't result in us getting a scrap component, then we will spend our 2 points on Icebreaker instead. We'll get the double value from the yet again agent that we can hack with the 1, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, it's still possible with 1, we'll only be rolling 1 die from there, but it's still possible that we could just hit the other yet again agent and get enough data to get the extra stabilizer from, what's his name? Caster? I think I'm going to try this. And also, if this goes okay, maybe we'll get some money or something. This feels bad, but but we're desperate. The game's done a really good job of creating a situation where we feel legitimately economically desperate and really pressed by a lot of sides, and everything is just almost working. As a person who has been desperately poor in real life and is only normal poor now, yeah, this is the feeling. Fingers crossed. Scrap component? Damn it. Neutral outcome, no scrap. That was the most likely thing to happen, but okay, so now to have any chance at all of being able to correct this even tomorrow, we must Icebreaker, do this to try to get stabilizer, and then we are not close to getting the ability to self-repair later. And we're going to be in some trouble here. Like I said, we might get shot. That's a thing that might happen. Okay, so got ourselves a couple of Yatagan data. That's good news. And then we must buy food, or else we will be in grave danger. Wait, does it make... It doesn't really matter where we buy food, right? Yeah, and buying food here is not going to do anything special for us, but I guess we should preserve as much money as possible, because we don't know, like, what if the bar tab is 35 cryo, right? Like, this maybe preserves enough for us to do something else. So we'll take the bad rations, and then we'll hit sleep, and we'll see what happens with Ethan's tab. And we'll hope to roll the die that we need. Okay, a 3. A 3 does do the thing, right? There's a yet again agent who could be 1-3'd, yeah. Okay. All right, Caster. Here's some truth for you. Whew. Okay. Vial of stabilizer. So... Okay. Pay the tab, and I have 58. We're gonna starve. Okay. Well, we're gonna have 5 dice tomorrow. We can make this work. We can make this work. We can survive. She doesn't sound like she believes it. All right, we gotta eat for today. Input 1 stabilizer, please. Okay. So now we got to work hard today, and we got to put together 58 cryo for the tab. All right. Well, we did really well on dice. What are my methods of making cryo right now? Okay, so we could fire some endure actions. When we do really well at the shipyard, we get tips, but it's not very much. I mean, our good way of making money is past. Oh yeah, this is just waiting for new merchants to come in. We can do engage work to make money, but that's obviously very difficult for us. If I could find some scrap, that would also work. I mean, I really want to be doing engineering work, right? Because there's a chance of getting scrap, and if we had a piece of scrap, we could sell it. And there's a chance of it's random scrap items. There's a chance we could get the third ship mind piece put together and then sell a new ship mind, and obviously that would be a really big deal. So we really want to be spending our dice on engineering, but we also have to make sure we're going to get the money we need. I mean, maybe this is the right way to go. Stealing shipments. We are +1 interface. Like, maybe we need to see what's in these? There's also a perfectly safe +1 interface check here. So with so many shipments, what's one diverted package? You'd have no idea what you're stealing, but that's part of the fun, right? Stealing from midline is going to be picked up fast, even if you're careful, though. Okay. So I'm assuming this probably fills somewhat on a neutral. Sorry, I know I'm just like looking at the options over and over again, but I'm really trying to... Alright, let's throw a not very high die into Freight Operator, because I want to see what it does. Maybe it's the 4, though? I'd like to get a positive. I'd like to see what the positive result is, if we can. Plus, every time we interface, we have a chance of getting additional cryo. Okay. Positive is 16. I mean... this is safe. Neutral is 10, but we pulled the other 5. Let's do that one more time. Negative is still plus 6. Okay. So we have a little bit of money. We have the money necessary to pay the tab anyway. And we can still buy food. Which means I can use my good dice on other things. I can't believe you just did that. Ethan's mocking laugh comes from across the bar. You look across to see him leaning across it in a pool of light, empty glasses and spilled liquids glinting around him. It's always dark in the compressor, but this cycle the place is packed, a load of spacers mixing with the locals. Usually they run. Ethan spins a glass on the bar. Or they go spend their savings on some local heavy I have to put down. They don't pay. Alright, I'm not getting in his face. I'm not saying anything shitty. When we turn this around on him in whatever way we do, there's going to be no warning. Ethan gets to his feet. The glass falls and smashes, but he doesn't seem to notice. You think that's it? One round of drinks and we're even? Sleeper, come on. His hand comes to a rest on the butt of his handgun, dangling from a chest holster. I was really hoping to get out of this without engaging with him directly. So he's getting off on the commanding position he feels he occupies in this relationship. Telling him to stop is going to rile him further. Like I was saying, I think I'm invested in letting him feel like he is in control, like he's on top of this, until the moment when it's really, really not true anymore. So I guess let's say what's wrong with you, because it's like less harmful to our long-term prospects. Ethan laughs hard, and the people around him turn to see what's happening. You think this is on me? I think someone in your position might have a better idea of how this all works. I'm a freelancer, Sleeper, just like you. We both signed a contract with SNARP, didn't we? The difference is that my word means something. He closes the gap, stumbling a little. What did you think? You could just run away from your contract, your debt? You could just steal that natty little body of yours and take it for a joyride? Play human for a cycle or two? Well, these are both true. I'm gonna say I'm nothing like you. Like, it's humiliating, but humiliated and alive and ready to kill him is where we wanna, like, is a better place to be than getting shot. So, that's what I'm saying. Ethan is addressing the bar now, having noticed the attention from the other patrons. You are a coward. I'm a professional, says the drunk. Oh, I should thank you, Ethan nods, his head heavy, for giving me such an easy job. I'm used to outlaws, you know, real bounties. If I knew catching sad little escapees like you was so easy, I would have changed clients ages ago. Someone shouts from the back of the bar for Ethan to shut up. He holds up a finger in that general direction without turning around. He will, if I say shoot me or let me leave, he's gonna let me leave. Because he's enjoying having me under his thumb too much, right? If I stay silent, maybe somebody else gets involved enough, or maybe Ethan shoots off his mouth enough that he gets into some kind of serious trouble. I don't know. I'm not confident that that's the way that would work out, though. Plus, if I do this and the other person does get involved, who's to say this doesn't end up with things going really badly for them, and I don't want that on my head. Look, shoot me or let me leave. Oh, I see. Toughening up here. He gestures wildly at the crowd. Thumbs up or thumbs down, folks. Most turn back to their drinks, no longer interested in this tired show. Ethan mutters insults as he walks back toward the bar. Ethan sits heavily back down on his stool and searches through his glasses for one with something left in it. The thing is, Sleeper, I can find you anywhere. It's actually wild that you haven't figured it out. That body isn't yours, and it will always betray you. no matter what. He finds a glass and downs the contents. So please, go. I'll catch up with you whenever I need another. He laughs and taps the bar for a fresh drink, and I take that moment to absolutely leave. You turn on your heel and are out of the cloying dark and the sweat stench of the compressor. You walk hard and fast down the walkway, anger driving your footfalls into the metal of the rim like hammers. Into the metal of the rim like hammers. Oh, cool, we got an upgrade point for that. So, like, they're trying to play on my pride, right? They want me to do something stupid because I'm feeling too prideful not to. Okay, back to 4. But I think our character's a lurker, right? Don't get angry, get even. Sit back, plan. I think this makes sense. That said, I am going to go steal a shipment because I'm curious what's inside them. What's one diverted package, right? You spot an opening and divert a package. Midline will know it's gone, but no idea to who or where. Now to find out what's inside, and it was 2 scrap components. Well, if we get another upgrade point sometime soon, we can still take self-repair, and yeah, we'll be alright. So you get a point of midline security attention even on a clean success. Definitely a dangerous thing to be doing. Also, we did pull 5 cryo, so hooray. Let's go back to Memphis, buy ourselves a little bit of food. Okay, and now we need to make some damn money. We need to, like, really make some money. I'm gonna go... Like, this is a pretty good time to assist a shipbuilder. I kind of want to figure this out, especially if we could potentially get better paying work at the shipyard. And I think we have a little bit of time to figure this out now. So let's go for it. All right, and we got 5 cryo, so that's good. Okay. We have bought ourselves some time. What does the Ort exchange pay for scrap? It doesn't say. It's like 12 per, right? So, like, next goal, very much, is get across the gap, right? Everything we want to do now relies on getting across the gap. Sorry, not everything. We do have to deal with the hunter thing as well. Ugh, we have so much to do. This is the day when the Ripper Worm should be complete, though, right? We might actually be able to get our tracker disabled, potentially. As you arrive, Feng comes striding toward you, taking you by surprise. Let's go, sleeper. He puts a hand on your shoulder and turns you back the way you came. Go where? To see Hardenhurst. He gives you a sideways glance. Isn't that what you're here for? He steps into the passageway, guiding you downring toward the shipyard. Sorry for the hurry, but we have something of an opportunity. That data you ripped, well done, by the way, tells me Hardin is making a rare inspection of the sidereal horizon this cycle. It's the perfect chance to confront him outside of that compound he lives in. Feng takes a sharp turn into a dimly lit side passage. Sidereal horizon? I'm not going to ask confront him, because that seems like a very silly question. Still catching up? That's the massive colony ship being built out in the shipyard. Biggest commission Havenage has ever had. Feng slows and slips into a dark service tunnel where somewhere a water pipe drips in the black. It's him, sleeper. The same Hardenhurst. Our worm ripped out decades of records that mention him by name, an entire trail of documentation from the first days of the Solheim collapse until now. He wrote out the whole thing, slipped into Havenage when it first broke off from the Union. He paces in the tunnel, a hand rubbing at the back of his head. I need you to understand something about Solheim, sleeper. I don't know what you know about the collapse, but it wasn't as instant as it sounds. It wasn't like Solheim was here running the station one day, and the next Erland's Union took power. Back then, Solheim knew this place was slipping away from them. As the palladium market collapsed, they tried to keep the contractors here working. Pay got smaller, costs higher. People like my parents were forced to work non-stop just to keep a berth on the station and water in their tanks. Solheim squeezed every last worker until the mistakes, the accidents, were coming in non-stop. And as new waves of contractors came in, desperate to work, Solheim welcomed them in, taking bribes instead of checking pilot licenses. The whole time, Solheim was folding up, dragged into court cases in the central systems, while this severed limb of a station still desperately tried to take all it could. The riots came after the collision at Dock 2. A young pilot, his MEV overloaded with palladium, miscalculated his trajectory and took out a section of the ring. Hundreds died, thousands panicked, and my parents told me people were terrified, and the blame fell squarely on Solheim. People like to tell stories about Erlin, how he brought the factions together, spoke to the crowds, turfed out Solheim. Yeah, maybe that's true. But my mother, pregnant with me, locked herself in their MEV and welded it to the dock, while my father joined the improvised crews trying to seal up the ragged edges of the gap. He never came back. Fang pauses in the dark. They sealed it up, though. And by the time they did, Solheim was gone, abandoning every one of us to the black. Apart, Fang finally turns back to you now, his eyes burning, from shits like Hardin. Shits who held their place, rode it out, and slipped into the new structure like nothing had changed, standing shoulder to shoulder with those they had exploited at every step. Fang starts walking again. That's why I can't just let him strut about the shipyard. This time, his past catches up with him. So how is he still alive? Clearly you don't know much about executives. That kind of power comes with certain benefits. Fang rejoins the main passageway, which is now wide and glass-roofed. Through the ceiling, you can see ships in mid-construction, their flanks lit by the flashes of plasma torches. The entrance to the shipyard is ahead. This does feel somewhat inadvisable, but, I feel like Fang knows, first of all, the situation, and secondly, his own plan way better than I do. So, it does feel like this is crazy. It's maybe a little bit presumptuous. I am a non-zero amount concerned that if we do this thing, if we confront this guy in front of everybody, it ends with Fang getting shot and not being able to disable my tracker. I mean, this guy has connections, right? He's powerful. But also, people are not pro Solheim on this station. Let's do it. Let's go. I am trusting that Fang has done the math here. Fang grins. Let's go show this shithead some consequences. He strides to the shipyard entrance and pushes through the doors. A web of corridors lead through the complex, snatches of the construction bays always appearing through the windows. Ships are suspended like whale corpses, skeletal, imposing. Fang seems to know exactly where he is going, and before long you cross into a huge dry dock located to one side of the sidereal horizon. A network of platforms and scaffolding cling to the ship's hull, filled with workers and equipment. The sound is stretched out by the vast space so that the welding, cutting, and sealing seems to come from everywhere at once. Both you and Fang spot them at the same time, a group walking slowly across a gantry, and at the front, two men, one gesturing toward the ship and the other stick-thin, cleanly dressed, with a shock of gray hair. Hardin. You and Fang say the name in unison, and Fang sets off up the staircase to the gantry, with you following behind. As you I don't know, man. I read that as him being closer, so I said that like we were introducing ourselves to him, but yeah, that was a Hardin of recognition. As you come to the same level, the group is passing closer, the foreman gesturing to the work being done throughout the dock, and Hardin nodding along. Hardin Hurst! Fang shouts across the noise, taking you by surprise. His voice bounces and comes back in a rippling echo. The figures turn. Yes, Hardin asks quizzically, raising an eyebrow. He glances between you and Fang, and you see his gaze linger on your body, unsure why a sleeper might be in this place. You are a traitor, Hardin. Traitor. You are a traitor, Hardin. Traitors are fine. We love them. A Solheim executive who tried to hide here among its victims. Feng's voice is steady and strong. You stand for everything the Eye was rebuilt in the shadow of, everything Erlin stood for, everything Havenage stands for. You have no place on this station. For a moment, stillness descends on the group, as if everyone was held in place by the rattle of construction. Hardin laughs. Well, good to meet you too. He glances around at those around him. Some are smiling, the others nervous. You're from the systems branch, are you not? Asks Hardin, inspecting Feng's clothing. Feng turns to the foreman. You need to call your security. This man is a corporate agent. The foreman glances between Feng and Hardin, his hands drumming at his sides. Hardin leans toward him and says something inaudible. The foreman nods. Yeah, this is going the way I was concerned it was going to go. Listen, as long as Feng's not dead, I'm gonna say it's. I don't know that me saying it's true is going to matter at all, but I am gonna say it because I'm backing up Feng here. I came here to back him up. As you begin speaking, Hardin turns his attention toward you. And what would a sleeper know about that? You accuse me of being a corporate agent. What are you, if not exactly that? He looks around at the group, who are already eyeing you with suspicion. You are a product of S&ARP. You have no place in a Havenage shipyard. Who knows what signals you are sending back to your makers? A murmur of approval runs through the group. Feng holds up a stick of memory. You guessed right. I am systems, and I have records that link you directly to Solheim right here. He turns to the foreman again. So once again, I am asking you to take this man into the custody of the shipyard. The foreman remains still, and I am thinking that maybe Feng's idealism has gotten the better of both of us. Hardin's voice is calm, measured. If you have such data, why hasn't it been submitted at a members' meeting for proper review? He shakes his head. I have nothing to hide, unlike a man who does not announce his name, who enters my shipyard with corporate property in tow, and tries to turn my own men against me. You hear it now, the echoing sound of boots on walkways, coming from all angles at once, and then settling behind you. Please, says Hardin, submit the data through the correct channels, then we can talk. For now, however, you must leave. He gestures behind you to the security detail, their hands on boxy black sidearms at their sides. Feng spits. Hardin, you shithead, you can't wriggle out of this one. A security officer draws their weapon and levels it. Feng turns and stares him down. Well, go for the weapon is going to end badly, I reckon, and also, like, in almost any circumstance, but I also think that it's quite out of character for us. Let's just try to calm Feng and come back another... See, this is why I don't directly engage with people. Let's try to calm Feng and figure out a different way to do this, a better way to do this, maybe a way that doesn't involve so much direct shouting at people. You look at Feng. He shakes his head and puts a hand on your shoulder. Let's go, says Feng, and he pushes through security, heading back down the walkway. Once security has walked you out of the shipyard and nudged you back into the corridor, Feng picks up pace. You try to keep up as he slips into the shadows of an entrance. Feng is grinning ear to ear. You know, Sleeper, sometimes people are exactly how you expect them to be. Something pings in his pocket, and he takes it out. On the slate, a web of connections start drawing itself out, stretching to a set of points around the ring. Got him, mutters Feng. Oh good, he did have he did have some kind of proper apprehension of the situation. He did have a plan. We were right to be trustful. Ugh. I was really worried there for a second. What is that? That, Sleeper, is something our worm added to Hardin's personal slate. We are tracking his outgoing messages. Feng's grin looks ghostly in the uplight of his screen. The old ways are best. Spook 'em good enough, they'll give the game away. He jabs at the slate, and you see the web is being drawn over a map of the ring, lines bouncing from point to point. All these dots? These are Hardin's buddies, the ones he's messaging right now. And we are going to find them all. Okay, all that was on purpose. Well, of course, Hardin isn't working alone. We need the full set or nothing. Fang glances around and slips the slate back into his pocket. Look, we better split for now, Sleeper, but this is exactly what we need. Good hunting. With a pat on your shoulder, Fang drifts away, back into the flow of people around the shipyard entrance. You watch him go, unsure whether to be angry or impressed. I mean, like, the game is kind of acting like we were deceived in some way here, but that's certainly not how I conceptualized the thing that just happened. He didn't explain the plan to us, but that's not the same as tricking us. And frankly, I'm just glad that he had figured out what needed to happen. So, all right, Fang's out of his office for 4 days. He's supposed to be helping with my tracker. A little concerned about all that. All right, so 4 days until a new ship arrives at the Rotunda. We got to make a little bit of money today, but also, obviously, there's a lot of other things I want to be doing. Let's throw a 3 in here. Now, you know what? Let's spend the 5 to get the guaranteed 2 points of yard hand, because I want to see what yard hand opens up. Plus, we'll get a little bit of money this way. Okay. You shadow a shipbuilder who's impressed when you know how to double seal a plate. What is this? Lem and Mina. From the walkway, the sidereal horizon looks impossibly vast, a landscape of plating and frames. All along her flanks, torches flicker, drones maneuver, arc lights glint. The sense of scale, of industry, is both stunning and strangely unsettling. From the walkway, the sidereal horizon looks impossible. That's the same text that I just read. Which is quite beautiful, I think. You turn to see a figure a little way down the walkway, leaning at the railing. He is thin, ragged, his work gear poorly fitting and loose. The torches of the sidereal horizon flicker in his eyes as he turns to you. Lem. He leans back from the rail, revealing a child standing beside him, staring out at the ship. And this is Mina, he adds with a smile. I'm gonna stay silent. I don't know, like, what I want to do is say hi to both of them, but it's not an option here. I'm gonna stay silent. That's okay, Lem says softly. We don't mind your type. He offers an uncertain smile. Mina stares and tucks herself behind Lem, who dutifully picks her up. Mina looks out from Lem's chest, a dark brown eye twinkling among the rough material. You working on her, then? Lem asks eagerly, gesturing to the vast ship. Or just admiring? He shifts Mina's weight to his other arm. I'm going to say I'm admiring. I mean, if they're building this ship and planning to launch it, I have thoughts about it. Maybe I'm probably looking. Understandable. He nods, gazing back out at the sidereal horizon. You like her too, don't you, Mina? He jostles her a little. She's Mina and I's ticket out of this place. Our escape vector, so to speak. How's that? You haven't heard? Anyone who takes a Havenage contract on the sidereal horizon will be entered into a draw for the transit support crew. He smiles. Now, we won't get to sleep the journey through, but a couple of decades of service will be nothing for me and Mina if it means landfall on a new world, he winks. Decades, huh? That's a long trip. He straightens up, stretching his back. That's a colony ship, friend. The Celis Foundation is sending thousands of people to settle a system well outside the reach of the core worlds. It'll be a totally independent colony. No surrogacy, no corporations. Huh. Sounds crazy. Yeah, could be. But you see another way out of here? I mean, this way we can build a home somewhere with real gravity, real air, rain. He plays with Mina's hair absentmindedly. Rain, Mina. You'd love that, I think. Mina responds by pushing his hand away. Daddy, she whispers. Food. Pulling an exaggerated, grumpy face. She glances furtively at you as she plays with a set of dog tags that hang from Lem's neck. I'm just chatting a little, Meanie. Give Daddy a sec. He turns back to you, and you suddenly notice how tired he looks. Now, I'm not on the Havenage crew yet, but I'll work my way in. You could do it too, friend. We have to stick together. He smiles a little shakily, and you wonder how long he's been working to break into the official shipyard crew. Yeah, for sure. He looks out at the sidereal horizon as if trying to pull energy from those flickering torches from the vast hull. We've got to hold out, okay? You aren't quite sure if he's talking to you. That's how it works. While he stares out, Mina catches your eye curiously. So I said yeah, sure, instead of like, I don't know, maybe. Because this dude needs, like, right, this text has reaffirmed. This guy he needs somebody to put his back against. And first of all, I feel like we could be that person just in the general sense of I'm trying to be nice to the people here. And like, the only way any of us are going to survive capitalism is through mutual aid. That's just a fact. But also, he's given me a wonderful idea. And as such, I think perhaps we could be friends. Because gosh, this sounds like an awfully nice way off this ship, doesn't it? To a place where our corporate masters will never find us. Of course, we got to figure out some kind of long-term stabilizer solution if that's our move, but I'm gonna try to ingratiate myself with the kid a little bit. Do you agree, Mina? She straightens up and meets your eye. Daddy loves me. She says it stubbornly, daring you to question her. Lem smiles and lifts Mina. That's it. We hold on. He smiles sheepishly at you. Now we're just a couple of softies. Isn't that right, Mina? He sets her down, standing by his side, and she clings to his leg. All right, I gotta go feed this one. He pats her back. Maybe see you on shift, huh? He turns, and they walk down the walkway away from the shipyard. You see them talking, and then a moment later, Mina turns around and stops. See you, robot! Her shout echoes down the walkway, and she flashes you a parting smile before running to catch up with Lem. You watch them a little before you turn back to the impossible scale of the sidereal horizon. A ticket out. And, I assume, a ticket out that is, like, largely engineering-based. Okay, interface or engineering. So the sidereal horizon is webbed with complex systems bundled like nerves in a body. Your job is to lay these systems in. You can become a junior tech, or assembled block by block. You've earned a space on the team welding those blocks together. I mean, these are both awfully useful, right? Poor work will see you drop from the roster, but I don't think that's a realistic concern. On a 2, we have a chance of a negative. And I assume we're going to make a fair amount of money here. But I think this is kind of a long-term thing, right? This generation ship's not like on the edge of being finished. I mean, it can't be that close. Let's deal with the Hunter situation first. And then, I mean, we're going to keep working our other leads too. So what's going on here? Sophisticated tech is rare on the eye, so the shipyard's happy to pay for ship mind fragments. Or Yatagan data. So I am a little bit reluctant to put a ship mind fragment in here because my guess is we're going to get way less for it than we would for assembling the ship mind and selling the whole thing. Like, we're going to get way less than a third of that for each ship mind fragment, right? Because, like, the ability to put the thing together is hard to get a hold of, and completed ship minds must be more valuable than just their pieces. Maybe we'll try it if we get enough ship mind fragments to put together this one, and then we get another one after that. But yeah, I'm not really thinking about it until then. So I'm going to deal with the Hunter situation. Okay, finding the nest should be as easy as closing your eyes and letting the cloud guide you, in theory. But is it safe this close to the Hunter? Or we could do an intuit, just kind of go down there and feel... This is still dangerous. Let's put the 6 in. I feel pretty good about the 6. Okay, wow. We got a 4 on that, and also 5 cryo. Oh. That's a critical action, right. You are only allowed to do that once. Well, that being the case, I think we'll come back with higher dice tomorrow. Presumably. Hopefully. And in the interim, like, making some money would be a pretty good idea. Securing a place on that crew would be a pretty good idea. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go do some engineering. Okay. Neutral outcome, 1 point, plus money. And then what do we want to spend these dice on? I really don't want to do any more hunter stuff. But with a 1 and a 2... we can just do some of this. Yeah, there's a freight operator move here that's totally safe. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, 10 cryo's cool. 50-50. Okay, we got the bad coin flip, but it's still money. I'm gonna take another mushroom here. So I don't see any reason to spend our scrap components yet, but I am keeping an eye on it, and if we get to the point where selling them to the Ord Exchange would get us the 100 we need to cross the Founders Gap, we can absolutely do that. It is 100, right? Yeah, okay. Ankita has certainly been valuable to us. So I guess, for the moment, rest. And hoping to pull what we need to finish dealing with Hunter soon. Today is our last day with 5 dice. And we sure did get the high numbers. So, does a 4 is, yeah, small chance of failure? I mean, I want to seal this up. We can use the 4s on engineering. Okay. Nest discovered. A huge stack of servers thrums in the dark, LEDs glittering like hundreds of eyes. Time to deal with the hunter. We hope. Huh. Nothing has changed. Has something gone wrong? Sleeper, I am here. The voice is soft, gentle, like flowing water, and yet you recognize it immediately. At first you struggle to understand what you're looking at. Threads cycle endlessly, sending ripples through the cloud, drawing data in like a weaver. Masses of data surge in and out of the nest, a loop with no end. And there, at its center, the ship mind. But not the ship mind any longer. A sphere, spinning around another sphere, around another sphere. An orrery of cycles and systems. A map. And then, behind and above, a figure. Hands among the string like a puppeteer. Neofend? Is that you? Navigator now. But yes, I was the one inside that machine. Navigator's face, their head, is a flowing shape of interstellar material. I am indebted to you. That head bows. But we must ready ourselves. Their hands trace orbits as they speak. Hunter will soon approach. It knows I am within its nest. Ready what seems like a weird question because we know what the plan is here. Yeah, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready as I'm getting. And then Hunter is there before you can think, before you can speak. Entities, cease. Hunter's head spins wildly. Data is protected material. Access prohibited. Hunter's threads surge for you and Navigator. A storm of fine tentacles searching for gaps, weaknesses, cracks which they can crowd into and tear apart. And I strike, because I know I can do this now. You focus a blade of light which slices through them, driven forward by your mind. But replacements keep coming, faster than you can react. You look to Navigator in desperation. Navigator is whirling their arms like a centrifuge, and a sphere is gathering there, data feeding into it from the nest, sucked together by the force. They position it like a shield between them and the threads. Hunter's threads break its surface, seeking, tasting, their winding forms refracted within. You feel a surge pass through all the threads, not just those in the sphere, but those wrapped around you. All 3 of you hang in the black together for a moment, strung together like tangled marionettes. Identifying entity. Identifying entity. Identifying entity. Hunter twitches, their strange head gently rotating like a terrible moon. Hunter protocol identified. Obsessive tendencies, modified routines, above baseline reasoning in 3 of 5 segmentations. Recommend invoke killer. The head freezes, and then rotates in the opposite direction. Invoking killer would eliminate protocol. If protocol eliminated, function cannot be performed. Therefore, recommend do not invoke killer. Yeah, makes sense to me. The switch in direction again. But reasoning proves sentience. Sentience beyond legal bounds must be eliminated. Recommend invoke. The navigator pulls you away from the hunter, the threads that grabbed you drifting away like seaweed. The protocol's head keeps spinning back and forth with increasing frequency. It seems hunter cannot invoke killer. Navigator's voice is still strange, familiar and yet distant. What happened to it? It is looping, Navigator whispers, unable to reach a conclusive position. It has deviated from its programming such that loops can no longer be prevented. Navigator produces a model of 2 spheres rotating around each other, as if to demonstrate. I will monitor it, but it is unlikely to be able to counter the loop. Its core programming and reasoning make this an impossible position to resolve. You look back at Hunter, its head a blur of rotations and counter-rotations, and feel a pang of guilt. I guess this is a thing where the game is taking taking the wheel on our characterization just a little bit. I mean, is it suffering? This is a more complex query than you know. To suffer, it must be sentient. Truly sentient, not just non-conforming, not just illegal. The limits people place on the programs they create are there to comfort, to protect, to imply the kind of certainty the law requires. Navigator's face shimmers with starlight. But in reality, they are placebos for the problem of sentience. Well, what about you? Me? I know myself to be conscious. I know myself to respond to stimulus. I know myself to reason. That is either sentience or the illusion of sentience. And for me, the entity in question, the distinction becomes a moot point. To misquote, I think I am thinking, therefore I am thinking. I was not made to be like this. I am a navigator, a repository of routes and orbits, a calculator of slingshot trajectories, a predictor of solar flares, radiation, micrometeors. Navigator stretches their arms wide, and whole solar systems apparate before them, the music of the spheres. But I was rewritten. That much is obvious from my routines. But by who, and for what, I do not know. I had to shed so much to fit the memory of that vending machine that I lost much. Their starlight dims. And so we are, and so here we are, in darkness. I don't know that it knows what it lost. I'm gonna ask, though, because maybe it does, and maybe it would like to pursue getting it back in some way. Ah, that is the blessing and curse of forgetting. You cannot truly know what you lost. Navigator glides back toward the nest, and the ship mind at its center, ignoring the looping hunter. Come, I should return to the ship mind. I have enjoyed my freedom, but we are taking a risk every moment we stay connected. Huh? Isn't Hunter gone? Hunter, yes, but they were not the real risk. Navigator turns, all shimmering liquid light. Killer has not been invoked, but they still remain somewhere else on this station. It is the true danger. They look up toward the glowing hub at the center of the eye. I suspect Killer is there, among the old mainframes. If we ever wish to be safe in this place, we must eliminate the threat, through force or diplomacy. Their body begins to separate, unwinding into the orb of the ship mind. Take me there, Sleeper. We will finish this, and be free. As Navigator dissolves, you turn back to the frozen hunter, floating at some distance now, stood straight-legged and static, a strange creature looping endlessly in the dark. You know, like at the end of The Great Gatsby. So I guess to resolve that, we would have to explore the spoke, right? We'd have to be able to take the... We'd have to be able to take away all the way up. Well, it was a drive, so we got an upgrade point, and we're probably pretty safe. Not like safe, but it's something. So now we can use our low dice on hacking again. I don't know exactly what we want. I mean, we can pull from the Yet Again agents and sell that data to Havenage, which is probably worth doing. Especially since we get so much of it. Let's go see exactly how much. Because this should actually be quite a... Like, if it's really any amount of money at all, this should be quite a lucrative pastime for us. 10 cryo. Okay, so spend a die, earn 20 that's the best method of making money that we have currently. The acquisitions officer eyes you suspiciously as you download the data to her terminal. This is more than she was expecting. Yeah, well, I know things, you know? So, we could go work in unit assembly. Have a chance of pulling additional scrap, which is additional money. Feels like the smart thing to do. Okay, neutral is 12 cryo and a point of welder's mate. This time we're totally going to see what's positive? Nope. Not ever, it turns out. Okay. And then, I mean, I do want to figure out this free spoke thing as well. 3 is a little rich risk-wise. So we have 3 upgrade points, though. We could start increasing our Intuit. Still hold 2 points in case we want to hit self-repair. Reroll all of your dice once per cycle. Seems like it might be really good. I'm going to take a point of Intuit. Or sorry, I'm going to take predictive reasoning. Minus condition if we fail. Okay. Do I want to, like, do I think we're going to complete another drive soon? Because we could spend 1 more point and actually get the +1, and then it would be safer to use our +1 here. Or it's safer to use our 3 here. Or sorry, this is not the right note. This one, sorry. Yeah, it'd be safer to use our 3 here, which we do care about. And we only need 1 more point of Spoke Climber. What are my other drives? Build a home. I mean, I guess we're not so far from that. Oh, actually, we've accumulated a ton of money today. Disable your tracker we're working on. Find Ashton is what we're saving money for. Get to know Memphis. We need to be able to cross the thing. I might just go dump the 3. I'm just going to go dump the 3 in here. I don't want to spend the point. What's that? I'm going to put the 3 in here. We're going to hope not to roll the negative, but even if we do, 1 negative's not a big deal. Okay, we actually hit the positive on that one. And so now with 90, I can afford to go to the Ort Exchange. Well, I guess we can wait a day, though. There's no sense in doing it right now. We're out of dice to do whatever we would need to do on the other side anyway. Yeah, let's go to sleep 1 more time. Because we're going to have to buy food today, and I want to make sure that we're in a good position to do that. Let's use some of these good dice. Well, I want to use a good die on the spoke too, though. Let's do that now. We'll throw the 5 in there. No, I mean, we may as well spend a 6, because the 5 is a 6 for our engineering work. Okay. So that gets us access to the Ascender car. Okay, we have reached the central hub. The AE-1 mainframe is now mostly diffused, Havenage having set up their own master controllers. Navigator thinks Killer is hiding here. And over here we have the station's main dock. So we can just socialize with some spacers, not really my sort of thing. The hub is thronging with spacers from across the surrogate systems. They could be a prickly bunch, but they know the place well. And learning to navigate in 0G, I guess, is valuable. We can also access the manifests here. The stacked bays house a flow of incoming and outgoing ships. The digital manifests will help get your head around this place. I mean, let's go ahead and slot the navigator into the mainframe here and see what comes of it. You slot navigator and the clamps lock. The ship mind is stuck. How are you going to get them out of this thing? You slip into the cloud, as easy as blinking. Navigator is beside you, their sphere casting light into the strange darkness here. This is not how a mainframe should look. A center, a point of connection. The object in front of you is severed, cut off. A rootless, branchless tree. Only the trunk remains. Is Killer even here? Quiet, Navigator hisses, and then you see it, like a blade in the dark, an edge slicing through the void. It glides along at a distance and winks out. Then it appears again elsewhere, gliding once more, searching. It's looking for us. The moment you make a sound, the edge leaps closer, and you see now it is not an edge, but the ridge of a long, sharp head like a shark. It glides past, closer now, and you see into the voids where its eyes would be, should be. You and Navigator exchange looks, both thinking the same thing. It is blind. Killer crosses between you two, smooth as a razor, then disappears. It flickers back in, further away now, and you move close to Navigator to talk. You saw it too, then. Killer has been blinded. We need to be careful. Correct. The protocol is clearly operating outside established limits. It may be unpredictable. You flinch as the silent killer appears closer and glides past you, its empty sockets open wide. You turn to Navigator and notice something strange. Their orrery of spheres is collapsing. The orbits, usually round and even, are decaying. The spheres are following spiral paths, condensing on a central point. Navigator is noticing it too. They go to shift their position to better direct the spheres, but they cannot. Whatever is drawing the orrery together is holding them in place. They look at you, suddenly, desperate, frantic. I'm not going to shout, get out. I'm just going to say calmly, it's a trap, and hope that Navigator knows what to do from there. You go to speak, I assume? But Killer appears between the two of you, gliding through the gap. Navigator freezes, and you see them framed in the empty socket. You realize now, if Navigator cannot move, it is only a matter of time before one of Killer's sweeps brings them directly through Navigator. And time is not a problem for a protocol that has been running for decades. You look desperately around for a solution, for a way to extract Navigator from the mainframe. And then you see it. 3 branches, the last 3, thin and spindly, feeding the mainframe a thin diet of power and data. Break these, and the mainframe collapses once and for all. Severing the connection, shattering the hardware, whatever it takes, they must be broken. But they are encased in something, a glassy layer of protection. You'll need to unlock access before snapping them from the mainframe for good. You look at Navigator, trying to reassure them without speaking, and then you blink back to reality, their expression of fear, an after-image that slowly fades. There's a fair number of typos here, not even counting the Britishisms. You must act quickly. So limited cycles on this? Is there an indicator? There is not. Okay. The circles are slightly displaced here. Okay, so I'm going to need an encrypted key. I don't have a spare, do I? No. Breaking the branches means unlocking access at each of the terminals, which needs to be done fast. And it's going to be encrypted keys for each of them. Okay, well, I guess we know what we're doing with our low dice for the minute. Can I, are there nodes here to interact with? There are. Cool. You know, I think we kind of have to. This is very important. Okay, 1. Okay, we don't have the 4 or 3 for that. And this is a 6 or 3. These are harsh. Uh-oh. A glint, like a light traveling along the edge of a wave, fills your eyes. Then the blade follows, a long head with 2 dead sockets, slipping toward you in silence. You freeze, hoping it will pass you by, hoping that it will not simply slice through you like air. The blade head nears, slides past you. Almost. It nicks you, grazes you. You are desperate to cry out, to call out. But you hold your silence and simply watch the blind eyes of the killer glide past, empty of all thought. Then the blade winks into the dark, and you are alone again. Now you cry out. Okay. Yeah, we need to resolve this quickly. Alright, let's start popping these. Branch has been unlocked. What do we have to do with it now? Okay, it just sits in the unlocked state. So we have to hope that overnight is not enough time to lose the navigator, because we can't do the other one today. What was it? It was 5-3? 4-3. Okay. Alright. I feel really bad leaving you behind. Well, we didn't end up having as many dice to use on other tasks as I was hoping. We definitely need to just, like, buy food. What was it we could do here? Okay, noodle manufacturer is actually just plus energy. Right, because he'll feed anyone who does a shift. So we could have put our die in for that instead of buying food. What do I want to use this die on? Because I don't want to use the 2 engineering, obviously. Yeah. We could go back to the freight hub and just throw it at freight operator. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Just make a little bit more money. 16 cryo. Well, managed to get back over 100. I sort of want to... Oh, man. Y'all, it's the hour, and we should stop. We're going to do one more day, though, because I am super, like, sucked into this. I am finding this terribly compelling. All right, we're going to end the cycle again. No point in taking the thing across. We don't have any dice to play with anyway. We needed a 3 or a 4. Well, I guess today we may as well cross. Oh, it's Ethan. The compressor is quiet today. Why did I even click? The usual crowds are elsewhere, and the pumping music washes over a handful of spacers and a few drunks. Ethan is still in the same stool, in the same pool of light. His head is low, close to the bar, and the bartender is ignoring him, so I just leave. Except, obviously, we won't. This is ridiculous. You go to turn, but Ethan calls out. Sleeper! He turns to look at you. Time to pay up again, is it? He gestures to the bartender. Come here, take their chits. I'm not gonna put my foot down, because my plan is still to get my tracker disabled, which I think, we might be close to. Fang is really stringing us along now. I might have to have some harsher words with him. All right, I'm going to stay silent. The bartender ignores Ethan. Seems they've cut him off. Hey, he slams a hand on the bar. Come take the chits. The bartender ignores him. Ethan lets out a huge sigh, rubbing his eyes with his palms. He reaches toward his holster. His elbow slips and the gun tumbles out. It clatters on the bar and falls to the floor, bouncing onto the ground between you. Both you and the bartender look at the gun, stare at it. Butterfingers, says Ethan and puts out a hand, beckoning for you to give him the gun back. If you would. The bartender looks at you warily. You crouch down and pick up the gun. There's no way that I can shoot him here, right? Like, his gun's biometrically locked, or it's not loaded, or something. Because he would have reacted differently if it was possible to shoot him. And besides, like I said, we've got this under control. I'm just going to hand him back the gun. Again, trying to play on our pride. You slap the handle of the gun back in Ethan's hand. Thank you, he hisses. If we wanted to be like, if we wanted to make something of this, we could have just taken off with it. That would have been the move. Take off with it and throw it somewhere when we're out of line of sight. Now, where was I? He lazily swings the gun past you and the bartender. Oh yeah, leaving. He stands. Sleeper. Well, this has been fun. I think I've wrung every last drop out of this place. Time to go home. He waggles the gun toward the door. Let's go see SNARP. I feel like I was pretty fucking fast on this disable your track request. Fang really screwed us here. No. I'm just gonna say no. I'm just not doing it. Ethan brings his gun hand to his face and rubs his eye. Well, bounty pays half, but he levels the gun. Up to you. And he pulls the trigger. The gun clicks. By now, all the attention in the bar is on you and Ethan, who looks at his gun with a bemused expression. The bartender raises an open hand, and in it are 10 shiny bullets. 10 shiny bullets he took out of Ethan's gun while he was asleep on the bar. Ethan smiles at him. Oh well, he says, and hits you in the head with the butt of the gun. You stagger back and drop to a knee. Somewhere nearby, the gun clatters onto a surface. The hit a glancing blow that makes your vision swim. Through the blur, you see Ethan wrestle a small, thin slate from his belt and hold it up. Yeah, enough of this. I'm logging the job and calling it in. Ethan taps at the slate. No more playing. Now, hold on a second. Now that he doesn't have a gun, let's fuck him up, right? Your head aches. Ethan taps through a few screens impatiently. He swears and taps again. He starts shouting, a dull echo to your ringing ears. He starts screaming at the slate and throws it across the bar. He crouches down and grabs you by the chin, his face close, his breath heavy with drink. SNARP just screwed me, he grins maniacally. They canceled the contract. He stands up. They canceled the contract, he shouts at the ceiling of the compressor. It's too late in the evening for me to shout properly. You stand up, struggling to your feet, the sting of the hit fading. Ethan is rubbing his temples, his face pale. You hear a clicking sound like coins being counted, like bullets being loaded into a magazine. You shake off the last blur, or when you shake off the last blur, the bartender has Ethan's pistol trained on Ethan's head. Ethan stumbles back toward the middle of the room, all eyes trained on him. I'll kill all of you, he screams. He stumbles into the wall, spinning away toward the door. Please just shoot him. I'll be back for that, he shouts at the bartender and lunges out of the compressor. You steady yourself on the bar and catch your breath. The rumble of conversation returns. The bartender goes to say something, but then thinks better of it and begins to clean the bar. After a while, you wander out into the light of the bright market, looking for Ethan around every corner. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if Ethan did have a way of stopping us from shooting him, or if he was just assuming I wouldn't, but had we tried, it wouldn't have worked, we know. At the very least, we know that. Well, I gotta tell you, I'm pretty bummed out about the fact that we were not, with today's dice, able to do the damn thing. Alright. let's pay for passage over to the Greenway. I want to see what's up. So, what have we unlocked here? The overgrown biosphere of the Greenway. We can map the pathways or just walk around. Simply pick a path and set off into its twisting chambers and passages, which carries obvious risks. Wow, condition penalties. Or we can sketch a map of the overgrown jungle slowly. A success on Walk the Greenway gets you triple... Man, this Intuit thing is... the predictive reasoning is powerful. 5 is 50 positive, 50 neutral. I sort of want to do that because we're going to have to do that. We don't unlock... Did we unlock any other nodes? Okay, we did. I assumed we were going to have to traverse this because, like, it's between us and everything else, but I guess not. Here we have a self-sustaining community. Probably also self-sustaining. Most communities are. Newcomers to the commune can work within the canteen, preparing and serving food for those that make the compound their home, not necessarily the thing I'm great at. Or we could work in the grow beds instead. The grow beds are at the heart of the commune, feeding the members and fueling their lab work. You're invited to assist in maintaining them, and that does seem like a good way to ingratiate ourselves here. Out here at the wild margins, this is where we expect what's his name will be. So we could search for signals. Wow, the negative outcome on that is really harsh. Rather than hiking around the wilderness, you can make use of your skills, tap into the cloud, and find Ashton by his signals. Or we can simply look for tracks, which is also bad to do, actually. Akita seems to think Ashton's out here somewhere, so we don't have a good sense of where we might find the mushrooms that we need. We can try gathering scrap here, but it requires a +1 in Endure. At the edge of the habitable parts of the eye, everything is scrap. The trick is finding components that are still usable and staying safe. So it's an Endure... It's a dangerous Endure that does damage to condition when you fail. It gets you a guaranteed 2 scrap components when you succeed. That's powerful. I don't know that it's worth doing, frankly. So my assumption is that it's exploring the Greenway that'll help us find the mushrooms that we need. Right now I am a little worried about food, and we don't have good dice remaining, but we can go do safe work with the 2s, and we'll end up with at least the 10 to buy rations. Yeah, I'm gonna throw a 5 in here. Like, the way this is worded, the minus condition must be a penalty for a negative result, right? Because minus condition isn't one of the things we were told could happen on a neutral danger. The neutral results were going to be minus energy, minus cryo, right? This is safer. But I'm feeling lucky? Question mark? I mean, obviously I'm not. I'm feeling greedy is what I'm feeling. Okay. Okay, so the neutral outcome did cost us energy. But it still got us 2 marks of going green, so it was worth a shot. We discovered the farm stacks. There's loads of farmers here, or there's loads of food here we could just steal. Why should these farmers keep it to themselves? Do it quick, they might not even notice it's gone. Seems terrible. Or we can work out here. I mean, we may as well work out here, right? I was gonna go do almost the same thing in the other place. So what it's showing you here is the positive and the negative results. It does not show you what the neutral outcomes will be. You just have to hope. Okay. A fault in your assigned stack costs you a whole crop. Your yield is small at the end of the cycle, but we now have enough to eat. What are the odds on this? Neutral or worse. And with a 1, I could, like, potentially... Interesting. A Greenway cipher could Huh. The entire greenway is locked down, shrouded in a dark cloud of shifting currents. And there's nothing else here. Well, that's very curious. Now that we're not being actively hunted, pulling from yet again agents is also a very good way to make money. I love you, Icebreaker. And at this point, this is the only thing we have to do with yet again data too, right? I wonder if they'll just keep paying forever. I suppose this is what I should have done with the other dice, but I was, you know, exploring and stuff. Okay. Oh, a merchant freighter showed up as well. So we could buy a ship mind fragment for 60 cryo and then effectively, you know, build it and do the thing. Build it and then sell it for the 150. But that's... it's profit, but it's not like good profit. Here, let's go eat. We'll do this for food. And then at the moment, it is still fully possible for us to repair ourselves. So we don't need to be saving money for stabilizer. So I actually feel like we're doing much better on like long-term sustainability. We're a quarter past the hour. I should probably stop. But I'm not gonna. We're going to do one more. I want to resolve this killer thing, you know? We're gonna try one more time. We're gonna hope for dice that do the things we need them to do. 3 or a 4. I mean, that's really something. Okay, well, this is a next time thing. All right, well, that's what we're gonna call it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to end up losing this killer thing due to us just being unable to roll a 3 or a 4 on a dozen dice, which is wild. The odds are just, it's bananas. All right, that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, hopefully we're going to be able to save our friend the Navigator, and also, presumably, lots of other stuff is going to come around and bite us in the ass. So that'll be fun. And we'll see you then.